Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back, season 2, but you can actually see us now. It's not just our voices anymore. You can see us. I'm joined by Ben and Will. Boys, how are we?
I'm so excited.
I'm buzzing. This is so. It's so nice to be in my own room.
I've got a
and you
mic.
see, yeah, Ben's got a mic as well. It's so nice to see your beautiful faces, especially Ben. Look at him. Look at him. The lighting's doing him nice as well.
What can I say? The guy that got the least amount of views on the socials, right here.
No, you're still the face of the podcast for me. I promise you. I
was the voice, but I've actually handed it to Ollie. I'm so excited to see where Ollie takes us this year.
Yeah, well, we've upped production value,
That's true.
really.
We've
And
all got mics.
we're trying to go for bigger and better things this year. So that's not making the cut, Ben. But yeah. So, 2024. We're here. We've just had testing this week. On Thursday, we have the first practice sessions for all the feeder series and Formula One itself. But first, let's talk liveries. Let's go from top to bottom from the season rankings last year. Boys, what do you make of the Red Bull?
Well,
Ben, go first.
It's the same thing.
Boring.
Apologies to headphone users.
It's so dull. It's the same. They've done the same thing since. It's the same livery since 2016. Don't get me wrong. We know the Red Bull is. They're not concerned about looks. They're concerned about speed.
No.
But it's just like, just do something different. Like you've won the constructors twice in a year now. You 3 times in a row world champions. Just spice up a bit. If they'd have added some gold or anything to it, would have been so nice. Instead of yellow, gold.
I don't know if you two remember, going back to 2007 till about 2012, 13, I believe, the Vodafone Rocket Red McLaren.
Oh, that's the OG.
You could also argue that was the same for about 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, true.
How different is that to the Red Bull? Because everyone puts that on the McLaren on a pedestal of one of the greatest liveries. Don't get me wrong, it is.
Yeah, but it's chrome, innit? It's chrome. It's a spectacle to look at. Like you look at that, and because it's chrome and blaze red, it looks so nice. Whereas the Red Bull, like I said, and the thing is though, with the agenda against Red Bull, we push so hard. Like every episode.
I don't know what you're talking about, mate. I'm trying to make it in the industry, mate. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. On a serious note, though, the chrome of that McLaren is because it's chrome. It stands out. If it was plain silver or metallic silver, no one would talk about that livery as much as they do. Because it's chrome and it's shiny, it's so nice to look at. Which is why I said instead of yellow, if the Red Bull had added gold onto it because they'd won the constructors and another world championship, it'd have been so nice. It'd have been so nice. Probably would have been the best liveries on the grid.
But to be fair, we should actually say Red Bull livery. They do switch it up, like the American events. Vegas, Miami.
In terms of one-off liveries, quality.
Yeah.
But in terms of season long,
I actually preferred the Toro Rosso old one when it was the same but just darker red.
I agree.
I back that. So, Will, you mentioned silver there. Mercedes, second in the constructors. What are the thoughts on the new Mercedes?
See, I've got a lot of time for this, Merc. I've got a lot of time. Whether it's actually going to be good or not, I don't know. But it's going to keep Ben up at night until Thursday practice because we have no idea, and it's been getting to him since it was announced.
James Allison's sandbagging, I'm telling you.
We say it every year, Ben. We say it every year.
Not we Mercedes.
Whether or not the Merc's actually going to be any good, we don't know. But I love the way they've merged the silver and the black. Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's got the W12, W11 rear end, and you just look at that and you see the W. But then you look at the front of it and you see the 2018 model. We're not going to talk about the 2022 car, that silver tank. That was woeful. A silver boat. We don't.
The car could have Timberland boots, and that would be it.
In fact, but it looks like a merge of silver arrows and that W11, and that to me just screams like this is Mercedes. Like this is going to be, we're going all out this year. It's Lewis's last year. We're going all out.
Mercedes are going to cook.
And
we'll come back to that at the end.
Third in the constructors, in 2023, obviously, was Ferrari.
Yeah.
What do you make of their livery? They've changed it up a little bit with white and yellow accents.
Yeah, I like,
last year's one.
I like it, and I like the overalls as well. Really nice. The white is really nice. Was it Vegas where they had the white rear wing? Was it Vegas?
Yes.
That was white to it.
I really like that, and I kind of like what the concepts again they've gone for. It's Ferrari, isn't it? I think it'd be quite hard for Ferrari to actually make an ugly looking car. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's
beautiful.
Have they not made the red lighter as well? They've made the red slightly.
Yes, I thought that. Yeah.
It's like Ben said, it's a Ferrari. You can't make it look ugly. No matter what red you put on it, it's going to look good. It's going to stand out. It's red.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with Ben. It's lovely.
Do you know what I think would go even better? Will Smith posing with a Ferrari. I mean, that breaks records.
I've got a lot of time for that. So that'd be quite
especially if it was through the roof.
Yeah, not just me posing. If it was my Ferrari, I'd be actually quite variable. If anyone's listening, please buy me a Ferrari.
I think Ben would end up doing the podcast sitting on the Ferrari.
I'd do it sitting in the Ferrari, yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, if I had a Ferrari, my head would undoubtedly stick out.
We'd have to get you a soft top.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind.
The aerodynamics would not work.
It's just this
so
bob sticking out.
Yeah. McLaren, then. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, theirs was a bit weird because they announced the livery on their old car back in January. So the launch wasn't... Realistically, launches for non-Formula 1 fans, well, not non-Formula 1 fans, but non-car nerds, is what it looks like. And for car nerds, it's about, what does the front wing look like? What does the rear wing look like? What do the side pods look like? There's no side pods. So really, for a lot of people, it was just, it's just the car. But really, if you break down the car, it does look a little bit different to last year's.
I think there's less... I like the orange and black. I think that the blue last year was a nice touch, but it kind of... It looked a bit off. Because... everyone says orange and black go together, and I think that yes, it exposes a lot of carbon fibre again, but not as much as other teams. Let's be honest, which I'm sure you'll get into, Ollie. But I think that I like the orange and black. But yeah, I agree with you as well. It was such a weird launch. It was very much like, here's our car, and then wait another 3 weeks, and we'll do the video properly. And it's like. Because the whole point of a car launch, I don't know about you two, but I imagine you're the same. The whole point of a car launch is what's it going to look like? Like Ben said, and it's not just the Formula One fans that look at it, like the diehard Formula One fans look at it and go, like you said, what's the body shape going to look like? What's the little aero going to look like? It generally just is the car colourful, and that is why we like the Merc and the Ferrari so much, because it's colourful.
The overalls as well, like the race suits. I don't know. Hopefully, it will grow on me over the season. It's just weird the way that it's cut. You know what I mean? It's like an old Southampton shirt.
See, I quite like it. I quite like the McLaren. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of exposed carbon, not as much as Alpine, as we'll get onto in a minute. But no, I think the McLaren looks good. I'm so glad that they've got rid of the blue. I think the blue for years just ruined the car. But they've now got rid of it. It's just black and orange, as you said. Well, you can't really go wrong with black and orange. Aston Martin, then. This will be nice and quick because it was pretty much the exact same as last year.
Green. There you go. That's all I've got to say.
Well, at least it's better than what Racing Point used to be.
Oh, no, hold on, no, Ben, I had a lot of time for the pink of Racing Point, let's be honest. That car was nice.
The pink of the Racing Point was
iconic. We're talking iconic, we're talking Force India, that was iconic.
Oh, yeah, no, Force India was good. But Racing Point
didn't even...
Do not stand up Racing Point pink.
Racing Point's badge was just something made on word art.
Yeah.
It was made that on a PowerPoint.
It was pink. It instantly is good.
No, I wasn't.
And Lance Stroll got a pole position with it.
Absolutely.
Exactly. It doesn't count.
So let's cut the slander, all right? Let's tone it down. Had enough.
Sorry. Alpine.
Yes, finally. Alpine. Yeah, I did get a bit muddled up with... But yeah, probably the most controversial car on the grid. must be said. I mean, they did. I don't know if you two saw, but on the third day of testing, they actually added more blue to the front nose to make
It's
it
somehow
probably
added.
not. That they added blue to the front bit of the nose. So
I mean, why? You might as well just leave it, because what is more blue going to do for that absolute carbon fibre machine?
yeah, I mean,
Great choice of words there, Will.
Carbon fibre racing, that's all they are, let's be honest. It's not
well,
Alpine.
I'm sure we will get onto Alpine and their struggles and discussing this later on in the episode. But it's just, I don't know, I hate the fact that the FIA can't implement a rule saying, look, these areas of the car need to have paint on them.
Yeah.
But everyone's just seemed to have gone, you know what? We don't want paint, we just want exposed carbon fibre.
And that's
Which
and
is
it's
just,
dull. It's dull. It's so dull.
it's boring and dull and just looks naff.
But then that leads me to the question: is how heavy is that Alpine car to the point where you can't even slap a paint job on it without it going over weight? And also, how much does the paint weigh?
So 7th in the constructors, the Williams. Again, similar to the Aston Martin, really kind of the same, little tiny changes, but all in all, they've still got the Duracell battery on the engine cover.
Aren't the overalls white now?
Yes, now
yeah,
that I have a lot of time for. The white overalls are fantastic, but yeah,
it's a bit
the
weird.
car,
I thought it'd be like
really
baby
much
blue
changed.
rather than just like white. But
yeah,
it's similar in it. It's all the same. A bit boring. Hopefully the car's quick. Well, quicker.
yeah, fingers crossed. I have a lot of hopes for the Williams
You
this
always
year.
do. You always do. It's a soft spot.
I know I do have a bit of a soft spot for Williams. I don't know why, but anyway.
Ben, you want to get involved? You want to say your piece?
I just think it'll be fast in a straight line.
But they said that I don't think that. I think they'll go for more of a all-round package.
We're talking about Williams, and shout out James Vowles. What a guy. I'd
Yeah.
go to war for that man. I would. I love him. He's brilliant. And if you've watched Drive to Survive, no spoilers, but I've watched it all. And James Vowles had an episode where he showed his true nerdiness, and I just loved it.
Oh, it was brilliant, wasn't it?
I need to actually watch
He's
this.
getting nerdy over a cup of tea.
Yeah. He was saying that he only drinks caffeine on a Sunday because then it gives him like a boost of the caffeine just for that day. So, because if you drink it too often, your body gets immune to it.
Exactly. It was brilliant.
Oh, mad.
And the guy listening did not care one bit. I loved it.
Well, coffee talk on episode 1 of season 2. Never thought I would say that. Anyway, let's get on to 8th in the constructors. The Visa Cash App Red Bull team. And must be said, probably the nicest livery on the grid.
Probably because it's the only one with paint on.
That is also true, yeah.
I like it.
Couldn't agree more. It wins hands down.
It's giving Brendan Hartley vibes from 2018.
It's giving Danny Kvyat vibes.
I didn't realise I was doing a podcast with Molly King. It's giving. Wow. Welcome to episode 1 of Love Island.
It's giving with Molly King. That's brilliant. I do love the car. It's so nice. It's a nice little throwback, and they've banged it to perfection. It's perfect. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably the nicest livery on the grid.
Probably.
I don't know about what you two think, but
they need something.
It's unbelievable,
and it looks just as good even on track as well. Like in
Best
the
livery, worst name.
Yeah, basically.
Yes.
In the Bahrain sunset, it looks stunning.
What are we going to call it for this year? Because the Sky coverage are calling it RB. V-Carb is kind of the initial for every single part of his actual name.
So I imagine.
I'm calling it Toro Rosso.
Yeah, Toro Rosso.
I'm calling it Toro Rosso.
Yeah, we'll call it Toro Rosso, right?
It is a Toro Rosso.
Staple that now. It is Toro Rosso.
It's a 2018 Toro Rosso. Let's not joke about here. It's a 2018 Toro Rosso. So we do what we want on this podcast. It's up to us. Yeah. We do it our way.
And then 9th was Alfa Romeo.
Yeah.
Right.
Which now
Right.
What's going on there?
Right, now I'm going to grab the mic first. This car is one of the nicest looking cars on the grid. I said it. I've said it to you in the lecture the other day. The way that green goes with that black gets me going. I'm
It
telling
seems
you
like
now.
it's not that Flowriz or whatever that thing is called that they put on it.
Look, you can have your opinion on it.
I just call it Flowriz.
Flowriz. Yeah, nice. Going back to the Love Island thing.
Yeah.
I have got so much time for that car. I think it looks lovely. Also, I don't know if you two would think this. Any of you ever watched Arava when he does his playthroughs?
Yes.
Always looks like his first season My Team car.
I can see where you're coming from.
Cool story, bro.
And I don't know why. They're just kicking in. This is my childhood. It's kicking into it.
Yeah.
Kicking into
Right,
it.
Ben, back to normal people thinking about this car. What do you think about it?
No, it's terrible.
It's horrendous. It looks like a kid has just gone up to a plain carbon fibre car and just scribbled over it with a
Looks like
highlighter.
I've wiped my nose on it.
Nice.
It's terrible. Absolutely terrible.
No.
I don't.
And again, another awful name. So bad that it's probably not even allowed in certain countries.
That name is bad. That name is very bad.
The name is awful.
And
So what's going on with that? Is it
well,
Sauber or is it Steak Sauber?
Well, steak's not allowed in it's not allowed in certain countries. I'm pretty sure. Like they don't have the rights to gamble in selective. That's why if you go on the F1 website as of recording, they don't even have the jumpsuits on.
They do now.
Oh,
Yeah,
do they?
Yeah, we checked earlier. When we were in the seminar, we had a look, and they do now officially have the race suits on there. They're not a .png F1 team.
Yeah, because wasn't it? They weren't allowed in Switzerland, were they? They weren't.
No, they weren't actually.
They must be now then. So they go.
So yeah, and then finally the Haas. Again,
move on.
I am here for the Haas downfall, despite the fact there's never really been an up climb.
I thought you was going to say, yeah, oh my God, I thought you were going to say you were here for the Haas livery. You thought my take was bad. That's shocking.
No, they have sacked the GOAT. So,
there will be no doors smashed, and I'm not.
There will be no doors smashed at all. I'm gutted. I actually think that man carried the team. Now, without him, there's nine teams on the grid.
No, that's a bold statement.
Who? Tell me now, right? Haas. Unless they get caught up in a collision, who's going to talk about Haas? There's nothing to talk about.
Actually.
Who's going to go to the pit wall during a race weekend?
Yeah, that is fair. Was the main. He kind of made Haas relevant because of how funny he was. So we spent 90% of the time laughing at him, or laughing not at him, but some of the things he does. Yeah, with him, technically.
Exactly.
But yeah, he will be missed. He will be missed.
I'm even going to go out on a limb here, right? I'm going to go out on a limb and say 0 points.
Depends how much chaos there is in a race or something. Do you know what I mean? Because you don't know. There could be a wet race and the whole grid goes upside down.
Yeah.
Hungary 2021 kind of style.
Absolutely.
Bottas went bowling. Their engine supplier, Ferrari, in the off-season, something absolutely mind-boggling happened. No one saw it coming. There were obviously rumours halfway through last season, but they were pretty much shut down almost instantly. The 8-time world champion, Lewis Hamilton.
Sorry, Ollie. Are you reading off of my script?
No, this is... Well, Ben, so quickly going off topic. Ben, during Drive to Survive, did you realise the amount of times that they hinted, or Lewis hinted at being 8-time world champion? Yeah. The amount of times Lewis said, I'm getting my 8 back, or I'm reclaiming my 8.
I know.
It was a bit like, he knows it as well.
Well, I don't want to go off topic because we'll talk about it, but when we get to the story of Sir Lewis, I'll give the listeners a story time if they want it. I'll give them a story time. But for you, what you're saying, 8-time world champion, we've said it all last year.
We probably said it a bit too much last year.
Probably.
Some would agree, but also what I would say is that when we did our quiz at the end of the year, and I put Ollie in a timeout for saying what he said. I really can't even put Ollie in 2021 in the same sentence these days. I can't. Can't do it.
Anyway, back to the main point of the story.
Have a paddy. That's the thing. He'll actually have a paddy. He actually fully will.
Getting back to the main part of the story, Lewis Hamilton in 2025 will be driving in the red of Ferrari.
Yeah, mental.
We were just about to go into an 11 a.m. Thursday lecture when that news broke, and our group chat just kind of blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's only the three of us, but there were pretty much non-stop messages for about 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
We got to the lecture, we all sat there and looked at each other.
Well, this is the thing, right? So this is the thing. So get into Wembley Stadium, sat there, and it comes up on your phone. And the thing that I found the most bizarre from it, like the most bizarre, is that Instagram was saying one thing and Twitter was saying another. Now, I know that's very easy to say, oh, yeah, but that's maybe the same accounts. No, different accounts. Literally, the same accounts were saying separate things on separate platforms. So Sky Sports F1 on Instagram did a massive, great big thing at like 10:30 in the morning saying, Lewis Hamilton will join Ferrari. And then on Twitter, it said, there are rumours that he might potentially be going to Ferrari. And I was like, well, make your mind up. Like, and obviously us as journalism students, I'm thinking, this is like, what? Come on. Like, and obviously people sending me stuff saying, oh my God, are you seeing what's going on with Hamilton? And I went, guys, come on, don't be so gullible. Like, it's happened all last year. It's not going to happen. He's just signed new contracts. Lewis Hamilton, he said he wants to finish at Mercedes. Like, honestly. And I never really allow myself to get too, about news stories like this. And in that lecture, I apologise to Dave King. God, I didn't listen to a word you said. I was so mind blown with what was going on.
Yeah.
Just to be clear, not my dad, Dave King, but we have electrical Dave King as well.
No, we were on the phone with Ollie's dad. We were on the phone with Ollie's dad.
Just in the middle of a lecture.
Opinion. Yeah.
I was messing around as well. I even changed like the BBC Sport article that said Hamilton to stay at Mercedes, says Ollie King. Did you see that?
Confirmed by Ollie King.
Yeah, you sent that to me, I think.
Yeah. But back to the seriousness. So I want to make a point, right? Let's get this clip because I'm telling you now this is massive and I want all the hate, but I'm backing it, right? I am backing this. Lewis Hamilton to Ferrari is one of, if not the biggest British sporting breaking news of all time, right? And I'll give you my reasons. I had my mates like, no, Luke Littler getting to the World Championship Finals bigger. And I was like, sorry, right? Hear me fly, right? Just right. Lewis Hamilton, at one point, the highest paid British athlete, like, ever. You've got a world we live in now where it's so hard to keep major breaking news quiet. And all right, you could say it wasn't announced till 7 p.m. and we heard about it at 10, right? But we hadn't heard it before that. So on the same day, it's happened. So like I said, you've got the highest paid British athlete at one point. He's then only just signed a new 2-year deal and committed his future and his retirement at Mercedes, a team that he's been at, a team in which he is the longest serving driver to drive for one team in Formula One, right? Beating Schumacher's record.
Oh, man, yeah. We forgot about that.
You've then not only got that guy, right? Him joining not just any old team and not just any Formula One team, but potentially the biggest and most well-known famous car brand in the world in Ferrari.
Oh, fact. Absolutely.
So you put all of that together and it came out of nowhere. That is, in my opinion, the biggest British, and it made me laugh as well, that happened on deadline day in the football market. And yet that was the biggest transfer that took place that day. Even Fabrizio was on it, right? But that's my thinking. That is by far the biggest British breaking news, British transfer, whatever you want to call it, of all time. It all just adds up.
I'd have to agree, to be honest. It's literally everyone was on it. Like, all the football channels were on it. Like, football journalists were covering it. It's because they knew it would get clicks and views and stuff like that. Everyone was on it, but it might not have just been for the fact of, okay, let's get a few clicks. It was just the thing of no one saw it coming. There had been rumours, obviously, but it wasn't ever really like, everyone kind of thought, oh, they're just rumours, they'll die out at some point. And then when it was announced, it was kind of like, oh my God, this is actually happening. Like, Lewis has always said it's his dream to drive a Ferrari, but how old is he? 38, 39?
So he's going to be 40 when he drives for him.
At 39, everyone's thinking, right, got 1 or 2 more years, he's going to go into retirement soon. He's not going to go anywhere. He's going to stay at Mercedes, become an ambassador. And that's another point to make. Mercedes didn't offer him an ambassador role. Ferrari did. Yeah. Lewis, once he retires, will be an ambassador for Ferrari. And me and Will have been having conversations, as we're both going to Le Mans this year, is that with that, especially with Ferrari doing what they did last year at Le Mans, Lewis could potentially drive at Le Mans at some point, which would be huge. Which would be huge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and another thing I'd say to this as well is that I don't want to just compare. It's so easy just to compare to football, and that's not really what I'm trying to do. But Lewis Hamilton isn't just, Lewis Hamilton, one of the best drivers in the sport. He's the face of the sport.
Oh yeah.
You look across social media channels. He's got more followers than Formula One. He isn't, to some, he's not a Formula One driver. He's an activist. He's or whatever. However, people choose to pursue. Some people probably even see him as an artist, like a musician, because he does actually do that as well. Probably a very minute amount of people, but he covers all bases. Oh, absolutely. Well, it's very clear. We all know that I am, but he is. He's the face of it. So for it to happen is crazy. But I saw rumours that the reason that he wasn't offered an ambassador role was because the chairman of Mercedes-Benz, not the Formula One team, not Mercedes-AMG Petronas, but actually Mercedes-Benz or something, doesn't actually see much of a future in Formula One in the next 5 to 10 years. And so the reason they didn't offer him an ambassador role was because
You reckon Merck are going to drop out?
I'm not saying I think they will do, but there was because when it first happened, my whole timeline was, why is he doing this? It makes no sense. After everything, something must have happened over the winter period for him to change his mind like that. And then more and more articles and more things were coming out. Of course, there's a lot of speculation. A lot of people will just take his name and use it for their headlines, for their stories. But there was something along the lines of, he wanted a 10-year ambassador role, and they may not actually be in the sport in 10 years' time. Someone might buy him out, a bit like when they bought out Braun and et cetera, et cetera. So there was that. But the thing that I find the most crazy, and I'm actually kind of glad that Lewis Hamilton's come out and said it in his testing press conferences as well, is that my very first thought, and this God's honest truth, was Lewis to Ferrari. Before it was Lewis in a red jumpsuit, before it was, oh my God, he could beat Schumacher's record in a Ferrari, it was how on earth are Ferrari and all of the charities and everything that Lewis Hamilton does, how's that gonna, that's not gonna work in the slightest. Lewis is going to want so much. When you talk about a Lewis Hamilton contract, it's not just about racing bonuses and this, that, and the other. It's so much more. Mission 44 and so many other things. How's that going to work? Because Ferrari, with all due respect, are a long way behind on those sorts of awarenesses.
Mercedes are very much a PR team in Formula One as well. They're very engaging in terms of what they do away from the sport. So you are right. It's going to be a weird crossover because he's going to be expecting them to do stuff.
Exactly. And he said that he spoke to John Elkin. Yeah, he said he spoke to John Elkin, and that John Elkin really wants to back, everything that he does. And I think it's a great move for Ferrari too, because not only is it a great PR move of obviously getting someone like Lewis Hamilton onto their team and, taking someone like himself and what he's done in the sport and then driving for, like I said, one of the biggest all-time names, not just in Formula One. But it's massive for both parties, absolutely. But if you then do take the money element into it, so he's obviously been given a 2 + 1 year contract, whereas Mercedes gave him a 1 + 2. So that's why he's still driving this year, because he couldn't be bought out of his contract for this year. But last year, the rumours of him going to Ferrari was a $40 million contract, right? $40 million.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would be nice, you're right. But $40 million contract midway through last year. Okay, so this is $100 million. So where the hell have Ferrari found 60 million out of nowhere and just gone, no, do you know what? You're right. Let's chuck another 60 on. That is more than half of what they were going to offer him before. So either Todd Bowley was in charge of this deal, because where is that money just come out? John Elkins literally given him a blank check and gone, here you are, mate. So he's going to be on more than Verstappen now at 40 years old.
That sets you. That he's set his grandkids up. I'd say he's set his grandkids up for life. To be fair, and he just gets a car. That's elite.
And if you think about it, his company car is a Ferrari rather than a Mercedes. I mean,
he does drive a Ferrari. He does drive a Ferrari though in Monaco. He does.
Yeah, but he now doesn't have to pay for them.
Wow, true.
He just gets given them.
I know which one I'd take out of driving a Mercedes or a Ferrari. But let's be for real here. We all know what one we're taking.
I think what was interesting though about this whole transfer saga, if you will, is the fact of, I don't know if you two have seen, but Lewis came out this week or last week and said that the main reason for him going there was that Fred's there, Fred Vasseur, who obviously he worked with
in his GP2.
ART and GP2. So I think that's really interesting that if Matteo Binotto was still there, it might not have happened.
No way.
And when I heard him say that the other day, my first thought was, well, Fred's in a job then for this year. It doesn't matter how bad things could get. Ferrari could slip to how they fell in 2020. They can't get rid of Fred. They get rid of Fred and Lewis. I don't obviously know the ins and outs of his contract, but if he was able to get out of it, even though that would be even bigger than probably him going. But they can't do that now because otherwise, without Fred, there's no Lewis. So
I think their link of combining at F2 and then going up or pretty much finishing Lewis, let's be real, it's going to be Lewis finishing his career at Ferrari. He started his career with Fred and he finishes it with Fred. Obviously, he won a title with Fred in GP2. Let's say he's going to win it in Ferrari in his first year. We don't know how many. Is his contract 1 year or is it multiple?
No, it's 2+1.
2+1 year. Oh wow,
yeah.
That was so easily extend that depending on how well they do.
Yeah,
so easily extend.
But I think that link of them being together at F2 creates the perfect segue to wrap up that section of what happened in off-season, unless there's anything you want to add.
Yeah, can I just say, genuinely, a bit like when Messi won the World Cup and it was like, right, the debate's over now, who's the GOAT. If Lewis Hamilton wins an 8th World Championship in a Ferrari, beating Schumacher's record that's it, it's done. It's over. It's literally over.
Say it's done anyway?
Oh, I do. But I'm just talking about if I had to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, but you're talking about the unbiased fans who say it's not done yet.
It's done. And I know Formula One, probably out of any sport, is the easiest to go, yeah, but the eras are different. Football, of course, tactics change, the way you play and things. But the reality is it's basically the same. But in Formula One, it changes like massively, massively. So you do have your GOATs of an era. But so you, for example, you can't compare Fangio to Hamilton. You can't do that. But it would. That's it. It would be done. He would have won in every team he drove for a championship. The 3 probably greatest teams of all time. Very hard to say that because obviously Mercedes have only really been here since 2013, and obviously
think about what they've done. Think about what they've done. That's the thing.
For those types of exactly, and for him for his first season in Formula One to be 2007, the last time Ferrari won a world championship, and then he go there at the end of his career and win their first championship since, it just all adds up to just the dream storyline. So yeah, I just wanted to say that. But it's such a weird feeling for me because obviously I'm a Lewis Hamilton fan. We all know this is a Lewis Hamilton fan, right? It's so clear as day. But if it is weird. I really want him to win a race this year, so he's finally back winning races. But I want him to win in a Ferrari. So I'm not saying I don't want him to win this year, because of course I want him to win. But I would take a handful of race wins and then a championship next year. I've never said that. I've always said want a championship. Yeah. So there's a slight different feeling this year.
Do you not think it would be really good if he wins his 8th at Mercedes as like a proper good send off?
Well, exactly. But then. But the romantic in me, but then the romantic in me would then want him to retire on that, because if he goes to Ferrari and then ends miserably and the Tifosi are on his back and they go, oh, Lewis Hamilton's ruining it or whatever it may be, then that's what he's ended on. So even though he goes out as a hero, look at Vettel. Vettel's a hero, but he didn't really go out in the greatest. It just almost...
He fizzled out.
Fizzled out, exactly.
Yeah,
so
fizzled out is
want
the
it
best
to
way
be like the ending,
Yeah. You want him to go out on a high. It would almost be reminiscent of if Messi retired after he won the World Cup.
Exactly.
We spoke about last season where we were all like, 2023 has been so uneventful, we'll just move on, let's go again for 2024. And I don't know if you two feel the same. I already feel like that now because of the news that he's joining them in 2025, because I just need to see it now. Like, I don't know about you, but I feel like the first couple of days of testing, even the Ferrari car launch, seeing Lewis in a Ferrari is probably going to be, when Messi won the World Cup, how that broke the internet, that photo of him lifting the World Cup. I'm not going to say it's going to overtake it, but I'm definitely going to say the first photo of Lewis in a Ferrari red overalls is going to be very high up there, like one of the top 5 liked Instagram posts of all time, 100%.
My favourite kind of piece of journalism, I guess, if you like, that I've seen already. So obviously people do the photo cut where they put him in an overall, whatever. But here's a picture. I don't know what Grand Prix it would have been, but there's a picture that someone snapped incredibly well from last year, where he's just walking past Ferrari's hospitality. But you've got Lewis Hamilton, obviously cool guy, his sunglasses on, and then just the massive Ferrari logo. And that's kind of what everyone's used as their Hamilton to Ferrari pictures. It's just brilliant. Like, it's such a good picture. It's almost as though like someone just knew. Do you know what I mean?
They probably did, to be fair.
But I've read his article earlier on. He didn't even tell his parents he joined until the day.
Wow.
He literally made it on his own. He didn't ask anyone's thoughts. He went, got to go with my gut.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, Ollie, because I know obviously you do want to move on, but I also need to talk on the subject of Ferrari, because, oh my God, my heart is going to literally stop if we get dodgy calls at Ferrari with a Hamilton driving from. But their promo video, oh my God, it's just Ferrari. It's just classic Ferrari. They used the wrong promo video. So I can't remember what it was for, if it was about F1's back or if it was a partnership or a sponsor. I don't know. But they had No, it wasn't. It was their own. It was their own thing that they published, and they had a dodgy front left. They did even a pit stop in a promo video they couldn't get right, and then turns out that admin tweeted the wrong video. Oh my God! Because I'll tell you something funny. The second it happened, the second he joined, the first thing I did is I followed Ferrari and I followed Leclerc. I didn't even follow them, and now I don't know if I'm a Ferrari fan, but I might be. But I don't know.
You've got to hold on for a year before you become a Ferrari.
Lewis Hamilton is doing things to me where I don't know. Who do I support? I can't believe this.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to want Ferrari to do well this year.
Huh?
You're going to want Ferrari to do well this year. That's the thing.
Well, I wouldn't say to you I ever want...
No, you don't. You want Ferrari to do really badly this year, put all their focus into 2025's car, so Lewis has an absolute, literally the best car Formula One has ever seen. It makes the Red Bull of last year look awful.
Adrian Newey to Red Bull 2025. To Ferrari 2025.
Probably not.
Adrian Newey. See, his wife liked to tweet. His wife liked to tweet about him and Lewis to Ferrari. But there's a clause in Hamilton's contract where he's not allowed to directly talk to Mercedes engineers and mechanics about joining. So he's not allowed to go up to Bono.
Yeah. But I think they go anyway.
Ferrari, but if Ferrari approach Bono, that's different. So it's not Bono can't go, it's that Lewis can't convince him to go.
So, but for him, sure.
Yeah, listen, all jokes aside, I need Bono at Ferrari. I cannot listen to Lewis Hamilton saying, "Is it hammer time?" and the guy going, "We are checking." No. We are not checking. It's hammer time, right?
I'm going to look.
Before the F1 testing in Bahrain, there was Formula 2 testing. Now, one thing that really ticked me off with this is it wasn't televised. And one thing that annoyed me even more, so it wasn't televised, which already put me in a bad mood, is the fact that something that I never thought I would say happened in said testing on day one.
I don't even know this.
I don't know if you two know about this. It rained in Bahrain.
Yeah, Bahrain. I remember sending it to you. Yeah.
They had to use full wet tyres in Bahrain.
Yeah. And if I remember correctly, because of that, they then had to do their testing in F3 cars.
I'm not entirely sure, but I know that they did also do another Formula 3 test, or a test in the Formula 3 cars with the Formula 2 drivers.
Because Kimi Antonelli just like
Yeah,
the water.
and so that's one point I want to get onto is that Kimi Antonelli, right, Formula 4 driver. I said last year he'd won 5 titles in 2023 in various different series of racing, which is phenomenal. But not only did he do that, this alleged test, because there was no official timings or anything like that, this alleged test that they done in the F3 cars of all of the Formula 2 drivers, Antonelli was fastest. But one thing to keep in mind, that is the first time he has ever been in a Formula 3 car. And he was the fastest out of all of the Formula 2 drivers who had either been in Formula 3 the season before or have experience in Formula 3. If that doesn't signify how good this kid is going to be, it is ridiculous. And furthermore, adding on to that, is the test that they did do and the timings were put on Formula 2's actual Twitter and Instagram. The official timings that he got for the actual test as well, phenomenal. I mean, his first day, he was 4th. First time in an F2 car, 4th place in a test. I mean, obviously, as we'll get on to and probably say a lot during this podcast, it's just testing. But to come 4th in your first ever test of a Formula 2 car is ridiculous, especially in the conditions that were out there. Yeah. And another quick thing to highlight is going into this Formula 2 season, there is a new model of car. Now, it's more like the F1 car. I don't know if you two have seen it, but the rear wings are more rounded instead of boxy. And same with the front wing and same with the side pod. So everything's a bit more modernised now. So all of the drivers haven't driven a car unless they've done Formula 1 testing, like Bierman, Fittipaldi, and a few others on the grid. They're all new to this car. And the fact that Antonelli has gone 4th fastest, I mean, it's just mind-blowing.
Ollie, has the Formula 3 cars changed as well?
I'm not too sure on that one.
Because I didn't see anything about they had, but if they hadn't, that's still even more impressive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely.
It's mental.
The fact that he came 4th is phenomenal. Now, the drivers that came above him were Dennis Hauger first, who won Formula 3 a few years ago. Still a very promising young talent in the sport. Zane Maloney came 2nd, and Victor Martins, who was the Rookie of the Year last year, came 3rd, and then Antonelli 4th. Second day, Zane Maloney kept up his good pace, if you will, and came 1st, so Crawford 2nd, and Fittipaldi 3rd. And then going into the final day, Maloney was top again. So Maloney looks really promising going into the start of this Formula 2 season. With Pepe Marti, who I don't know if you remember me talking about last season in F3 as part of Fernando Alonso's driver academy. He was 2nd, and in 3rd was Kush Miney, with Antonelli again in the top 5.
Man.
So this kid is like, obviously we can talk about the other drivers. Zane Maloney looks to be on fire. Great to see Pepe Marti up there, and Jack Crawford also looks really good. He said that he's going to be trying to push for a top 3 in the Drivers' Championship this year, which could be quite hopeful, maybe pushing to get another American driver closer to the steps of Formula 1. But Antonelli is the main takeaway from that session. He is, I believe he's 18. I'll just have to check for you. But he is a different, like, oh no, I'm wrong. He's 17.
Oh, brilliant. So he can't legally drink or go to a nightclub, but he can race a Formula 2 car.
Mm-hmm. But I think one thing that's very interesting is the fact of when they were... So in day 1 of testing, which we'll get onto once I finish this segment, day 1 of testing, I think it was Alex Jakes and Lawrence Roberto, I think it was, and Will Buxton. They were speaking on comms while testing was going on, and they were highlighting how well Kimi Antonelli had done, and they were saying this is a ridiculously bold statement when you think of the drivers that have come from Formula 2 into Formula 1 or previous champions of Formula 2. They were saying that Antonelli is the biggest prospect in Formula 1 since Lewis Hamilton. Not Verstappen, not Leclerc, Hamilton.
And he was even used in Formula 1 official page graphics for potentially taking a seat.
So, I mean,
massive.
This kid is going to set the world alight. Obviously, we spoke about GOATs of a generation, Lewis being one, Schumacher being one. I think this kid, if he carries on with what he's doing, could be the next GOAT of a generation.
Question, mate. Ollie King said it first.
I easily see him being in a Formula 2 car next year. Absolutely.
What? He's in one this year, mate.
He's in one this year?
No. Sorry, Formula 1 car next
year. Formula 1 car?
Yeah. Absolutely.
We'll get on to the 2025 grid predictions at the end of the episode. That's how we will finish. But I think one thing, again, that's interesting to highlight, he's 17 years old, called Kimi, who won in 2006.
7,
yeah.
2007, yes.
Alonso.
2006 was Alonso. 2007,
Kimi
Räikkönen.
Exactly.
Written in
it's all written in the stars for him, and I think
what's his nationality?
He is Italian.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
He's going to be driving at Prema this year alongside Ollie Bierman, another fierce talent that I think could make it. So I am buzzing for Formula 2 this year. We'll get on to the
very young lineup for Prema. That's exciting. That's a young lineup that's got a lot of potential.
The Formula 2 grid this year has a lot of young potential. A lot of drivers from Formula 3 came through this year. And yeah, I am so excited for this season. I encourage you to, and all of our listeners, to watch along as well. I think it really could be one of, if not the best season of Formula 2
absolutely.
that we've seen in a long time. So, I mean, I'm sure as Ben, being a Mercedes fan, you're going to be keenly watching Kimi Antonelli to see if he can follow in the footsteps of
in general, lads.
The GOAT.
The name Kimi Antonelli, though, like, that screams, like, let's be honest, that screams world titles. Having a name,
it has that ring to it.
Kimi Antonelli, that's a great name. That's a banging name.
A racing name.
Yeah, if he was called Keen Anthony, he's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Kean Anthony, he works down the chippy.
He does.
Kimi Antonelli is destined to make it as a Formula 1 champion, let's be honest.
So true.
So, Formula 2 testing finished. Antonelli looking like the brightest spark. Big shout out to Zane Maloney as well. Obviously, what I covered there, he's been in the top 3 in every session. So, it could be a really, really close battle this year. Go on, Ben.
Well, no, I was just going to say, because obviously I know what you want to go through and talk about, but do you want to stay on F2 and we will give our predictions?
That could be a good shout, yeah. So, fire away.
I've got to get mine.
Would you like me to give my drivers or drivers and constructors?
I say do constructors, then drivers.
Oh, okay. Well, my F2 Constructors Championship...
Quickly. I feel like this could all be the same.
Potentially. But,
Go on.
So my F2 Constructors Championship winner, Constructors, who I think will win the Constructors, is Prema. But I do think ART also look pretty good as well.
Yeah.
With Prema Racing.
Do you want me to do more?
Yes, maybe I'm a mainstream listener, but I have gone with Kimi Antonelli to win the Drivers' Championship.
Well, is that the same for you?
No.
Oh.
I have gone with Prema to win the championship.
Yep.
But I've gone Victor Martins to win the title.
Interesting. I like it.
I think being voted Rookie of the Year last year, I think he's because of Kimi coming into it, everyone's kind of focusing on him. But I think Martins will only push on from last season. And I think because he has that year of experience over Antonelli, like, don't get me wrong, like you said, Antonelli is class. But I feel like in terms of one lap raw pace, Antonelli looks so quick. And there will be better drivers that have one lap raw pace better than Martins. but Martin's racecraft, I genuinely think, is one of the best in Formula 2 when it comes to dragging out. He's very much like Sergio Perez when it comes to dragging out stints, and I think that's the reason why I'm putting him over Antonelli. I'm not just saying it because I want to be controversial. And Ben, I know you're saying it because you're not following the media.
We all had the same.
I genuinely think because he's got that year of experience under him in Formula 2 and because of his racecraft, he will be able to just outdrive Antonelli. Maybe not in qualifying, but definitely over a race, like the long feature races, not the sprints, but the feature races, and that's where he'll shine especially.
What about the guy on our right here, Jack Doohan?
Jack Doohan in the middle here.
Oh, he's in the middle for you. He's on the right.
Over testing. I don't look anything like the man. I mean, I did initially go for the same as you, Ben. I'm not going to lie. However,
he's changing.
I am changing. With the spotlight, so I'm going to go Premier Constructors. I think their drive lineup is by far the strongest on the grid. But I think because the spotlight is all going to be on Antonelli, I reckon Ollie Beerman, if he can go week in, week out like he did at Baku last year, if he can do that every week, or not every week, but if he can do it consistently, getting poles and getting like good finishes, podiums, wins, double race wins over a weekend, if he can make his racecraft a lot better, I could genuinely see him winning that championship next year. He was brilliant this upcoming year. Last year, he was good, bearing in mind he was coming in as a rookie. He had a few issues, a few races where he wasn't the best. He made a few mistakes. But I think because the limelight is going to be on Antonelli, I reckon Beerman could maybe slip under the radar of people thinking, okay, Prema are going to win the constructors and drivers. Everyone's instantly thinking Antonelli. Beerman's going to go on the radar, snatch it off him. So
all three very different opinions.
I've also big year for Zach O'Sullivan.
Zach O'Sullivan, I think he'll do okay. I don't think he'll do as well as people may think he might do. He didn't win the Formula 3 last year. That was Gabriel Bortoleto, who, again, I think could have an impressive year, but I don't think he'll do, for example, what Martin's done in winning Rookie of the Year. I think that will probably go to Antonelli. I think Antonelli will win Rookie of the Year, but Beerman will win the Driver Championship. Zach O'Sullivan, I think, will do well. I think the same with Bortoleto, but ultimately, I don't think they have it yet to get to the very top step of Formula 2.
Fair.
Get on to the shakedown of Formula 1.
Well, that's why I'm here. I'm suit and tie. I'm ready.
Go on then, Ben. I'll let you take the reins and you can, drive us through your thoughts on what happened in testing.
I'm not giving you my predictions.
Oh, no, not predictions yet. We want to do a testing recap.
Are we running through testing as a whole, or are we running through testing as each individual session? Because in my opinion, it should just be over a whole.
Yeah.
Like highlights from the whole testing.
Talking of over a whole, I mean, talking of over a whole.
Good way to go into that.
I think the drain problem has caused a lot of issues for the cars. Was it Leclerc and Albon? Was it that caused the issues of the drain cover coming loose, which they've now said that they're going to fill with cement for the upcoming weekend?
Yeah,
which is
weird.
Interesting choice. But if it resolves the issue of not having a loose drain cover, then I suppose it works. But
floor going missing.
Yeah. So
you know what? I feel like testing, the reason it's such a big deal is because it's the first time in a long time that you get to see cars on track, right? But the reality is it's nothing. Because everyone's sandbagging, and everyone that's good will be bad, and everyone that's bad will be good.
Well, you say that, but Carlos Sainz putting in a 129.9 on day 2 of testing, and that being 0.2 off last year's pole. I know we say testing isn't a lot to go by, but that is very impressive. I agree. That is. I mean, we were all shocked when that happened. We were all like, hold on a minute, we don't start seeing these sort of lap times.
I don't know if I agree.
You don't agree?
Because how many laps did Ferrari do? 300 odd laps?
Yeah, out of the top three, though, they did the least. Out of the top three, though, Red Bull did the least.
Fine. But basically, how many laps is Bahrain? Like 50 odd laps? 40 odd laps?
57, yeah.
57, right? So they basically did the Bahrain Grand Prix like 10 times, whatever, right? Or 5, 7, whatever. Yeah, they'll be running so many different driver programs. It's not going around the track trying to set the best lap time every time. No, that's not how testing works. But out of 300 odd, a good chunk of those will be natural 1 laps, right? So the fact that in all that time didn't beat pole once.
Yeah,
so you
but
can be
it's
2 tenths off.
You think
You
it's
can be 2 tenths
close.
off. Yeah, but if anything, it's slower.
Max's best time was a 1:35, something like that.
No, I know, but I'm just trying to I'm trying to get my point across. I want to make it clear. I don't think that testing is going as fast as you can, lap in, lap out. That's not how it works.
No, I know, and I agree with you.
No one beat last year's pole in 300 plus amount of laps.
Yeah, but that's what you mean. They're not doing pole laps.
Exactly. That's why I don't take it seriously.
But the fact that he got that close to it surely just shows you that. I know we say don't take testing seriously, but surely it just goes think, oh.
I never take a Formula One season serious until the second race of the season's done. Because the first race, you look at the championship table, it's the race order. It's not until you're into the second race that I will look at it properly.
Okay.
Yeah. I just think that I personally think that I don't think that should be looked over. I don't think you should gloss over how close that actually is to last year's pole.
Mm.
Right, well, let's have it outside. No, but I get your point.
There's 3 members in this podcast. We'll throw it out. We'll throw it out in debate. Ollie, you've heard both sides. Who do you agree with more? Come on.
It is always hard to tell because it is just testing.
Don't beat around the bush. Just say who you prefer.
I'm making my point. It is just testing. Every team is going to be sandbagging. No one's time is going to be realistic in terms of what it's going to be like in quali and what it's going to be like in a race. Sainz's time is very impressive, yes, but allegedly there have been a lot of rumours saying that Mercedes were sandbagging so much that they're going to be quicker than the Ferrari.
Right, I want out this podcast now.
So, yes, Will, I agree that it is very impressive. The fact that it's only 2 tenths off of the quali time, the pole time last year. However, if the Ferrari isn't sandbagging and they've set that time, it's not that impressive. But if they are, it is. But if the Mercedes are allegedly quicker,
it's a myth. Sandbagging doesn't happen anymore. It's a myth.
Yes, it does.
It's a myth.
100% is still a thing, Will.
Sandbagging is probably, we saw, I mean, what was it? Sonoda came 4th. No, Danny Rick came 4th in the first day of testing.
Sargent was in the top 3 at one point.
Exactly. You're going against your own point.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Just all I'm gonna say is, if Ferrari turn round and wipe the floor race 1, all I'm saying.
I'll tell you this: if Sainz gets pole on Friday night, I will come on the podcast next Monday and I will apologise.
I'd want more than that, Will. Will, I'd want more than that.
Oh, I want both of you to release public statements on your social media going. I want both of you to put out a public statement on the TikTok, which is what, Benjamin Parker? Which is what?
Well, no, it's Trackside Pod F1 if you're asking, but
thank you.
I'm happy to do that. It's fine for me because I'll get no views. Fine, I'll say whatever.
We'll clip this. We'll clip this now, and then no matter who comes out on top, we play at the start, and I want a personal apology on the TikTok from both of you, be in the same video, about how I was right, and I will do the same thing if I'm wrong.
Okay,
right, that's fine. Also, can I ask?
To have seen the Formula One website today, but the main article on there is a clip from an interview with Hamilton of him saying that the Mercedes prep for this season is, quote unquote, the best I've ever seen, Lewis has said. Which begs to make you think there's one or two sides to this. You could either say Mercedes have created an absolute monster of a car this year, or you can look at it as the past 2 years of Mercedes has been awful, but the amount of time and money that they put into bringing it back to where they were has impressed Lewis.
Yeah.
What is your view on it? Is it the fact of they've created the best car on the grid, or they've just brought it back better than Lewis thought?
So I will do your point. I promise I'm not going to waffle. But this is what I love about journalism, right? This is what I want to go into, is that the most simple thing to go is, well, we'll have to wait and find out. That's an average person. You say, we'll just have to wait and find out. This is my favourite part, the build-up. So all the thoughts and opinions on what does that mean? Does that mean that? Does this mean that? And then getting to the event, and then hopefully the event living up to, if not being better than what you expect it to be. Right? That's what I love. So Lewis's comments there I find interesting because he's always so positive. He's always so positive about his team. And yet, obviously, this Mercedes car this year is a brand new concept. They've finally binned what they started with in 2022, 2023, and they've got a brand new car. He's even gone on record and actually said that all the things he was saying were wrong. The team turned around and went, no, you're wrong. And he kind of sat back and went, well, you're in charge, but... And then obviously turned out Lewis was right. So what he's saying about this year's car makes me think that it's going to be good, because he sometimes downplays, he underplays. Like, I remember when the new upgrade came in, I want to say Barcelona, and Russell came straight out like, no, we're going to be back. This is massive. And he went, it's not going to do anything. Like, what's it going to do? It's one thing. Nothing's going to happen. And then obviously they got a double podium. And that was only one of two George Russell podiums that year. So for Lewis to come out and say something makes me think that it's going to be quite big.
Big as in terms of championship contention or second and third?
Unfortunately, one thing I think we will have to accept this year is that Red Bull run away with it. It's a battle for second, and that sucks. Like, that totally underplays like the whole point of sporting competition. But being big, in a sense, is it would win a race if they weren't there. And I'll obviously explain this in much further detail, but I do think that Red Bull this year don't have the year they had last year, because they either have reliability or there is an inevitable crash. You can't do what Max can't do what he did last year, where he has that amount of luck. You know, even if it's not a case of there's no crash at the finish line, he will have an incident with a back marker, or he will have a snap of oversteer and lose it. Like, it just will. He can't have a 100% clean season. It won't happen.
We all have seen the video of the RB20 in the rain at Silverstone, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a rocket.
Yeah, it is terrifying to think about.
No, and this is what I'm saying. Like, all along, all we've ever asked is for him to have competition. If he was to win 24 races and he won them all by like a 10th, then absolutely fair play to him. Incredible, one of the greatest racing drivers the sport's ever seen. But when he's winning them by 20, 30 seconds, it's very hard for me to look at that and go, no, do you know what? You are unbelievable, because you're not being tested. You know,
and that's where people
I don't think any battles of his last year at all. I just think of Singapore and him getting overtaken. That's all I can think of.
And that's why the stat merchants will come in being like, oh, but look, he's got all these race wins. All right, how many of them did he win by less than 3 seconds?
Yeah, and the ones that he did is because there was a safety car that came out like 3 laps before the end. You know, if I'm thinking of unbelievable defending, I'm thinking of Sainz in Monza. I'm thinking of Sainz in Singapore. I'm not trying to downplay Max Verstappen's achievements, because they are unbelievable, and he is less than halfway now to Hamilton's record, which is crazy. And the reality is like, in terms of race wins, and the reality is he's going to beat it. The way he's going, he will beat it. You can't, but you break down those wins. I know it does. It really does. But if you break down those wins and break down, like, and please, you know, tell me if I'm wrong, but obviously he has got a race win from, I think, 14th on the grid. It was Spa, wasn't it? Or Miami, or but,
I think it was, yeah.
But other than that, they're all in the top 5, and the majority of them are from pole, which, okay, fantastic. You get on pole and you convert it. That's what you're supposed to do. That's the dream. You're not doing it. Yeah, but you break down like Lewis's wins, a lot of them are a lot further back in the field. So I'm just saying that it's back and forth. I'm happy to play. I'm happy to play that game if you want to, but unfortunately, I do think they'll walk away with it. But there'll definitely be a lot more contention behind for sure.
Will, coming back to the point of what Lewis has said about the best prep he's ever seen, how do you see it? Do you see it in terms of, as I said, the greatest car on the grid, or second or third, but mainly looking at second?
It's a bit of a backhanded compliment if you think about it in terms of Mercedes, and it's a bit of a punch in the gut for them. Your best driver of all time basically is turning around and ditching you for one of your closest competitors, and then he turns around and goes, "Oh, the prep this year's for the season not that bad." And it seems like a bit of a, like I say, it seems like a bit of a backhanded compliment, but it's like you said, you don't know whether you take it as last year. The last 2 years, they just haven't been bothered because they've still been hung up over 2021 and they've stuck to the same morals. And this year gone, right, something needs to change. Or whether last year was still good, they were still giving it all, but this year they've gone, no, it needs to be even better if we're going to do this. And unfortunately, Ben, I know you hate to say it in journalism, but we will never know until the first race weekend. But I think it is.
Don't forget James Allison is back this year.
Exactly, that's as well, and that's why the prep could be as good as it is, because and that's what we don't know whether you can take it as two ways. Like I said, it's either been shockingly bad, and they're finally up to. You don't know if it was absolutely appalling last year, and they've gone up. They've put little muffins out for everyone to walk in just to boost the team morale. You don't know, or it could be everyone's doing overtime, working their hardest, and the morale is just through the roof because they want the best thing. We won't know.
But what I really want to know is that how much information does Lewis get now, and is he really prioritised still as number one driver? This is the fascinating thing. Will, going back to your point where you said earlier on about it kind of feels a little bit similar now, we just want to get to 2025. I actually disagree. I'm so excited to see this storyline play out, because doesn't matter if Max walks away with a win. Yes, we'll sit here and go, ha, ha, ha. But the dynamic of it, if Lewis gets close with Leclerc, their teammates next year, if Russell outperforms Lewis, are they prioritising Russell? You know, there's so many different stories. Sainz is actually doing better than Leclerc. Are Ferrari getting rid of the wrong driver? There are so many amazing storylines that can play out throughout the course of the season that I'm so excited to see. And when Mercedes do start work on their 2025 car, how do they keep Lewis away from that, but George in the loop? And how many secrets are then between drivers? Russell is Hamilton is Russell's hero, but do we get a Rosberg Hamilton scenario? Like, there are so many, and maybe Lewis plays a different game rather than coming out and downplaying it. Maybe he makes it out as though Mercedes are amazing this year, and then when they're not, it makes it look like he made the right decision going to Ferrari. This is what I mean. There'll be so much gameplay. And actually, as well, it opened my eyes when I watched Drive to Survive. When you see their media brief meetings, I saw the McLaren one, and they were like saying to them, just downplay this, don't make a big deal. They're told, 100% they're told like what to say. Probably not even their thoughts, it's the team's thoughts. But Lewis probably will think outside the box. So I'm super excited for this year.
It's going to be big. It's going to be a big season in terms of off and on track, because we all know silly season will start to commence because we have 14 out of 20 drivers out of contract.
Yeah, well, it is technically 14, but no one knows Lance Stroll's contract.
Don't get me started.
I think we, as budding journalists, are in the best position for this season because, Ben, as you said, there are so many different storylines that we can either make of this or we will actually see. Because obviously, as budding journalists, we can create a lot of, this might be happening. But
we should start writing articles. We should start our own website.
That's a bit too much.
I'll do it.
All right. But
New York Times 2026, I want to be there working for F1 or any other organisation.
But we can create all these stories of this might be happening is phenomenal. But the fact of there will be stories there that are actually happening as well puts us, as especially as podcasters, in such a good position, because we can talk about these subjects for, I mean, there obviously is a limit. People don't want to be listening to us for 4 hours, but if like we can provide people with content of this has happened that people might not have seen, or we could speculate something is happening or something's brewing, I would say we're probably in a better position than many due to the thing that we are doing. So I think it is going to be brilliant this year for us three and for the listeners to listen to us and our opinions and our views on things of what is going to unfold. And I think this really could be a season not on similar levels to 2021 in terms of every single week there's a story, but it will be something like that mold of there's always something in the background that's going on.
No, 100%, because obviously as well, this is the first season, believe it or not. So this is the 75th season of the championship, right? 1950, the first one. And yet this is the first ever season where the driver lineup that finished the season before is the same that starts. So in 74 other seasons, there was always at least a driver swap. Doesn't necessarily mean someone left and someone came in, but someone just switched teams. There was always something. There's not this year. So therefore, that's already kind of a bit like, but now we've already got next year's before this year's has started. There's an entire storyline to play out. And actually, do you know what? This isn't in my list of predictions, but I've just thought of it now. I think Toto Wolff goes as well end of 2020.
Whoa!
He goes without Lewis. He started this with Lewis in 2013. I think he goes. Don't get me wrong. I know he likes Russell, and he has said it would be great to get Russell's first World Championship. But he's always talking about, I want Lewis to get his 8. He'll go.
That's big.
That's big, Ben. That is huge.
Clip it. Get the views up. Clip it.
Huge. That's huge. Fair play. You gotta be different in this sport. Fair enough.
I've been different my whole life, mate.
Back to testing. I want to get your thoughts on different parts and different kind of bits that I've got down. So I'll go Ben, then Will, then I'll give my thoughts. Most impressive.
It's really hard for me to talk on it, but only simply because I don't take testing too seriously. So I don't really look at someone and go, oh, I thought he was... Sorry, no, but I've got to be honest with you. There's no point me lying, right? I don't really look at someone and go, oh, that was amazing, or that was... I literally look at it as in, right, do it next week. So that's my honest answer.
To be fair, I know what I said about Sainz earlier as well, but I do agree with him. But I still make my point about Sainz. But I do agree with Ben when it comes to it's very hard to tell, and it's very much like the best time to have this conversation is next week. But I still feel like you could make a hazard of a guess, I guess.
And also another reason as well I say about I always take it seriously after the second race is finished is not only because obviously the points are different, but the first race is where you've literally just done 400 odd laps worth of testing. So you already know the track. Let's get to Jeddah before we really start talking about Formula One this year, in my opinion. But sorry, Ollie, if you've got something, then obviously.
That's right. Will, have you got anything more? Or
in terms of performance-wise,
go on, give us one team that you've been impressed with. Give us one team you've been impressed with.
One team that I've been impressed with. One team that I've been impressed with is. You're
contradicting yourself if you don't say Ferrari because
I'm gonna say Ferrari. I'm gonna say Ferrari because I'm going off that pace, that raw pace that Sainz showed. Yes, like you say, it's testing, but there's now a public apology on the TikTok riding on this now.
Well, where does that come from? If anything but a Red Bull win, is that what I'm hearing?
No, it's Sainz pole. If Sainz gets pole,
if Sainz gets pole, if Ferrari, no, not just Sainz. If Ferrari get pole, get pole, because remember we can't say just Sainz because Leclerc wasn't running not super softs, but the C4s when Sainz, yeah. it was a completely different setup, and Leclerc was doing completely something different. You know, he was off probably doing his own thing. I don't even know. Probably fantasizing over Lewis
And
being
piano.
rules. But if Ferrari get pole, I want a public apology because they look quick.
Like I said, I'm happy
If
to do
Merc
that.
get pole,
Yeah.
if Lewis gets pole, I'd take it all back. No one does anything.
Lewis Hamilton, right? Lewis Hamilton gets pole. I'm not making this podcast Monday night, lads. I'll be
Ben's
out
knee
somewhere.
sliding.
Yeah, I'm knee sliding with a dodgy knee. I'm doing it.
But no, if Ferrari get pole, I just think they look so quick. They look quick, and I don't know because you say Merc might be sandbagging. You don't know if Ferrari are even sandbagging because we haven't seen Leclerc do raw pace.
Cut that. We know who's getting pole. We know. Don't try and not believe it. It's going to happen.
Trust the process.
No, but there's no process to trust.
No.
As we speak, Ferrari are already on Plan E. We haven't even started yet.
I would say.
I back it.
Right, so there's that. Right, I'll leave that there. So we know what's happening. If Ferrari get pole, me and Ben doing an apology. If not, Will, you're doing an apology. My team that I'm most impressed with from this testing, and I've gone to a bit of a different route to you, Will, is I'm comparing it to last season and the testing that went on last season. I'm saying McLaren. You look at how their testing went last season. Obviously, throughout the season, they progressed a lot. We said in the pilot episode last year, they are the worst team on the grid. This year, again, it's only testing. That's probably going to be the most said comment we've made this whole episode. But the McLaren this year, they've come leaps and bounds from where they were last year. Floor's open.
Let him cook, Ben. Let him cook.
I'm not getting this entire looked good in testing chat because it's testing. Oh, it's in the word. It's testing. We're testing.
Yeah, but they're testing the cars for this year.
No.
It's the whole point of it.
I can't back it. I'm sorry. I say it till I'm blue in the face. I need to wait. I can give you the clips if you want. Haas are going to win the World Championship. There you go. Clip it. You want that? But I can't see. I can't.
It's testing.
I don't care. I don't care if a car started doing the Sakir Grand Prix track and was doing laps in 59 seconds. It doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean anything.
It's the cars. They're testing, Benjamin.
They're testing to see if they can fool people like you.
But if they're going that quick on testing, they're going to go quicker.
Exactly, but they didn't, so we need to wait.
How are we glossing over Ferrari then?
Listen, Will. Listen, I'm happy for you that you enjoyed testing, right? Fantastic. I hope you're happy. I'm happy, yeah, but no one can... Well, I was trying to do that meme, was it? No one can force me to be your best friend, all right? I'm trying to do that. I don't know the words. But no, listen, right? Have your fun, have your cake and eat it, right? I'm glad you enjoyed testing. I'm glad you had your cars going back round, all right? I'm happy for you. But my fun starts on Thursday.
Right. Okay.
No, my fun starts on Wednesday when they're in the paddock doing interviews. Because I love that.
Isn't you?
Right, okay. So for this next segment, Ben, you're out of it because it's another part about testing.
All right.
So, Will.
I thought I was going to put my pasta on.
Will, biggest shock. Either it can be good, it can be bad. What was the most shocking thing that you thought about testing?
I'll tell you what. Actually, this is my biggest shock in terms of it's not a performance-based shock. It's a visual-based shock, and it is why I think that the Stake F1 car looks absolutely brilliant. Because under the lights, that green and black, just I'm here for it.
I'll do 24 more of these.
Oh,
Will
fantasising over the Pixel, the Stake, Visa, Cash App.
I'm buying the hat next week.
PayPal car.
McDonald's, Starbucks, Costa.
I'm buying the hat next week. But on a serious note, Another
Sorry,
big,
you're buying steak merchandise.
another,
Drake.
another big shock as well. Again, visually, is how good that Toro Rosso looked. Because when you see a car launch and stuff like that, it's obviously No. Hear me out. Because when you see the car launches and stuff like that, and you see that it's an animated background and stuff like that, you may think, okay, the car looks good there, but is it actually going to look as good as it does on track? I think it looks even better. It looks even better on track than it did in the promotional video for it, and same as the Stake F1 team that looks brilliant. No one wants to admit.
Cool story, bro.
Championship winner.
Valtteri Bottas.
Clip it.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Right,
it's
Will.
a fanboy.
Well, all seriousness, who is going to win the F1 World Championship?
Ben, you go first.
Max Verstappen.
Max Verstappen.
Yeah, Max Verstappen. I think it's clear that he's not going to fall off anytime soon. And
He doesn't get 19 wins. He gets 20. No, he doesn't. 15.
15.
Yeah.
I agree. I don't think he clears it out like he did this season, but I don't think he could be stopped.
Yeah.
It's difficult. It's a difficult one. I'm trying to find my predictions actually. Okay, go on.
What about the constructors then? So we've said Max, constructors wise. Is it going to be Red Bull or is it different?
Up the Woking. It's coming
Really?
home. It's coming home.
What, McLaren?
It's coming home.
Go
That
on,
is
Will.
McLaren. Yes, you're right. I've just realised listeners won't know I'm from Woking. Yeah, it's McLaren. It's coming home.
Forza Ferrari.
So we've got 3 different ones here because I've got Mercedes.
Oh!
No one's gone Red Bull.
My head is on Pluto right now.
No one's gone Red Bull.
No, I
No.
think
They don't have a driver partnership that can do that this year. Perez shouldn't even be driving this year.
Neither should Lance Stroll. But
Well, yeah.
Oh Christ.
But the reason I'm going with McLaren is because you look at the way they ended last season, right? Probably, I think it was either the most points or, if not, only behind Red Bull. This year, they're actually going to start with a good car. So imagine how many points they got. Probably the best driver lineup. Hamilton and Leclerc next year is going to probably be the best lineup since Prost and Senna. But this year, I think McLaren probably have got the best lineup, right? No, I do.
Wow.
What did you say about Prost and Senna?
Yeah, that's a big statement.
You got Leclerc. No, you got Leclerc.
Oh.
No, listen, right? You got Leclerc, who's probably the fastest one-lap driver in the entire grid, and you got Hamilton, who's 8-time world champion, probably literally the GOAT. Not probably about it. There's no probably about it. He is. That's the best driver lineup since Senna and Prost. You can't deny that. You can't. Right? But anyway, this year, my point, McLaren, Piastri, Norris, they're going to start unbelievably well, and unless they do an Aston Martin and then for somehow go downhill, they can easily put 350, 400. No, hang on a minute. They can easily put 400 or 500 points on the board.
Fair.
Wow.
Valid.
Right.
I'm in shock over the Senna Prost comparison to
Sorry, right? Tell me right now how that is not a good take.
It's comparing Senna and Prost to a rookie and a guy who hasn't won one race in Formula One after
Who's a
4
rookie?
years.
Who's a rookie?
History.
I said Leclerc and
Hamilton.
Hamilton.
No. I'm sorry. I thought you were on about. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant. I thought you were on about Lando.
Get out of your ears and listen.
So I'm just thinking about that Stake F1 car.
Right. Ben.
Sorry.
Woking, McLaren to win. Will, Ferrari to win. Give us a reasoning. Give us a reasoning.
I think that it's the same sort of thing as Ben, but I think because Leclerc and Sainz can actually win a race, I honestly think that they have the more experienced drivers to actually see it through, and I think they will actually challenge Max I still think Max wins it, but I don't think there's a single race where Ferrari don't at least put pressure on and could easily take a lot of points off of him. That's genuinely how I see it, and I think that's
Finally, he's back to saying something normal.
Well, I always speak sense. I always speak sense. Thank you very much.
Let's click that, and then next to it, put his apology after next week.
Right. I am going with Mercedes because get it off your phone. I am saying Mercedes is going to win the constructors because they have got the best driver partnership on the grid. I don't think that's up for debate.
No, it is, because it's not.
Really?
I think there's too much.
George Russell has not proven himself. He's got one race win in last year.
Yeah, but neither's Lando. Lando hasn't even got a race win.
But McLaren wasn't a race-winning car.
Neither was Mercedes.
Well, it was, because it won a race.
But so is technically Oscar Piastri.
Yeah.
That's a sprint race.
He's won a sprint, yeah.
He still has to beat the other 19, doesn't he?
Well...
And I mean, Lando... So, if we're doing George Russell compared to Piastri and Lando compared to Lewis... Let's think about it, Ben. Think about it.
The reason you try and reverse it as well, let's calm down.
No. The reason you're trying to say that Mercedes is the best duo is because Lewis Hamilton's on the team. That's why.
Yeah, but George Russell is also a very, very good driver.
The only thing that I would say about that lineup is, Ollie, there's a lot of friction because George wants to be number one, but clearly won't be. And that is genuinely George's ego is the thing that will let Mercedes down. George's ego of wanting to be number one driver and having priority is the thing that will let Mercedes down. He did last year.
I love George.
At Singapore.
Yeah, I love George. He's brilliant. And I actually want him to become the face of Mercedes once Lewis goes. It's brilliant. I love the whole Mercedes dynamic. But you're absolutely having a laugh if you think he's a better driver than Lando Norris. You are having a laugh.
That's a tough one. That is a tough one.
That's
Don't get me wrong. If we're talking PowerPoint presentations, then George Russell comes out a mile ahead. But that's what we're talking about.
I think they've both had moments where their immaturity and lapse in judgment has hindered their performance. You look at Sochi in 2021. Lando was too naive to come in and pit for inters or wets. George trying to fight too hard in Singapore last year went crashing into the wall and then ended up retiring from the race. So I think they're probably both on a level playing field in that matter.
Notice how the photos as well were being chased by Lewis Hamilton.
Winners? Are we going for any new race winners? Yes, no?
Well, I kind of almost went a little bit off topic with your question, but I've got 5 race winners this year.
Okay.
So
that's more than last year, so we'll take it.
Exactly. So we got Verstappen, obviously. I have got Perez in because he always, for whatever reason, just has a good first 4 races and then just disappears.
I don't even think he gets anywhere in the top 4.
No,
first race.
He'll have a street circuit win. You know, even if it's because they've moved Azerbaijan to like the 15th race of the season. So even if he wins that one at the end, somewhere he just pops up somewhere, he will get one somewhere. I've then got Charles Leclerc.
Okay.
I do think he does get a race win this year. And I'd love it to be somewhere like Monza, but doesn't matter where. I think he will. I've got the big dog, Lewis Hamilton. Sir Lewis Hamilton. It's coming. It's coming. He is winning a race again. And I am spending all my money in the pub when it happens. It's happening. And Lando Norris.
Ooh.
First Formula One win incoming.
Interesting.
Shall I do my 5?
And actually, do you know what? I'll be honest with you. Something about Lando is I've kind of gone off of him a little bit recently. I feel like I don't really know the best way to put it, but he's kind of become a little bit ego-ish. And I kind of don't really want him for him to forget his roots. But then the counter argument to that would be, well, he hasn't because he keeps signing deal after deal after deal at McLaren, so he's staying loyal.
That is true.
I do want him to do well for that sense. But yeah, I do think he'll get a win this year.
Hmm.
And I don't think it will be a sprint race. I think it will be a normal win. If we're going off sprint races, then naturally you could throw in a Sainz, you could throw in a Piastri, you could throw in an Alonso. But
I don't think
those are my five
sprint
winners.
races don't count as actual wins, do they?
No,
No. And it still bugs me in the first year where sprints were a thing that pole position on the Friday wasn't pole. It was winning the sprint that was a pole. So Lewis should actually have 105, but he's only got 104 because he got pole in Silverstone.
Yeah.
But
Oh, yeah. True.
won the sprint, so he got the pole.
That's true.
Will, any new race winners for you, or are we sticking with same old? Everyone.
I'll give you my. I'll give you my five that I think. Max,
He got pole.
Yeah.
Claire,
Mm-hmm.
Let's put in some music.
Sainz,
Right. Two more.
Hamilton,
Yeah.
Gasly.
Gasly. Well, that's no new race winners.
No
then.
new race winners. No new
But
race winners.
Gasly's going to be a surprise.
I think if we have just a mix-up of a grid or something like that, I feel like he will pull something out of the bag. Big Gasly's generally one of my favorite. Big Gasly's generally one of my favorite drivers.
Yeah, probably because you look like him.
What?
Oh, don't, Ben. Right, your comparisons are ridiculous.
Hello,
Why
welcome
do you not
back
like
to
Jack
the
Doohan?
podcast. My name's Ben. I'm joined by Pierre Gasly and Jack Doohan.
One day.
Yeah. One day.
I think there will be a new race winner. I'm not going to do the same as you and do the five.
Will's going to be a new race winner. Wow.
Yeah.
Well done, Will.
Get in.
And I mean, he did win a sprint race last year.
Yeah, that's true.
Did you?
But I think Piastri is actually going to win an actual race this year. I think he'll still beat Lando to get in a race win. I think Lando's going to go another year without winning. And I think Piastri is going to get his first race win.
Where will that race be?
Australia.
Yeah, Australia. I'll back it. Piastri is going to win in Australia.
We are so full of nonsense.
So
I think it could happen. I think Piastri's got all the credentials to go and win a race this year. And for me, it just seems like Lando gets a bit stage fright. As soon as it seems like he's going to win a race, he gets a bit cold feet.
Bold.
So I think Piastri will win a race this year, and Lando will still be searching for one.
Fair. Valid.
So moving on to the biggest good surprise of the year, because I could say biggest surprise, but it could go either way. Who is going to be, or what's going to happen that is going to surprise us in the best of ways?
Okay. I've got biggest news, best surprise, and worst surprise. So do you want me to just give you my biggest news, because it's not really something that you've asked for? I just tell you.
Yeah, go on.
All right, so my biggest news, I think you probably all agree with it, is Ricciardo to Red Bull mid-season.
Oh, I didn't have that on my card, no.
Wow.
Yeah, mid-season.
Okay, I didn't have that on mine.
Interesting. Go on then, Will. What's yours?
I've got a Ferrari versus Max title fight.
Ooh.
All the way to the end.
Ooh.
I don't know
Another
who it's
interesting
going to be. I
one.
don't know who it's going to be, but I think it will be a Ferrari versus Max title fight. I back it.
Interesting. Now, I've gone a bit further back down the field. I've not gone for any of the Red Bulls. And no, I'm not boring. I'm covering the Future Stars promo as such. I think this year, Williams will be scoring consistent points and a podium will come for Albon.
Wow, you're going to hate me.
Oh, God.
Well, I'll give
Go
you...
on, biggest bad surprise then.
So my best surprise was Hamilton will win his first race in 2 years.
Nice.
My worst surprise, Williams finished lower than 7th.
Oh.
Wow.
Downgrade.
Now that would be a surprise. Would that be a surprise?
That hurts me because as I've said, I love James Vowles, I love Albon, but they do not have a reliable driver. You can't rely on Albon to just do everything in that car. You can't, because 7th was amazing for them last year. But how do they then go and beat Alpine, Aston Martin? How do they get into the midfield conversation with one driver?
Valid.
Go on then, Will.
That's my worst surprise.
Your biggest bad surprise.
George Russell to outperform Lewis Hamilton. Hear me
And
out.
we've lost then.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
Go
Hear
on
me
then.
out. Hear me
Go
out.
on.
Hear
Go
me out.
on.
Because of him leaving, George Russell will take priority of the number one driver. Even though on paper, he's not. Priority will shift to George as he is pledged allegiance. All right. So, like Ben said, upgrades will come first for George because he has pledged allegiance. So,
Interesting.
in my opinion, I'm not saying that in terms of ability, George is going to outperform Lewis. No. What I'm saying is, come the end of the season, George will have more podiums and more points.
Ooh, that is a very strong take.
The guy got where did he come in drivers last year? 7th, 8th in the drivers' championship.
He's priority this year because he's pledged allegiance. He will be.
Mate, he was priority as well. Really, last year.
No.
He was.
You just don't want your slander against your guy.
Listen, these podcasts are so hard to do, by the way, when you're aspiring to make it in. Because it's like having a dodgy tweet on Twitter that people find from 10 years ago and you go, oh, well, there you go, you see. Whereas now we're actually...
Busted.
We're here saying this, if I was stood in front of one of them right now, I'd go, oh my God, you're the best of all time. I just would, because if we're being honest for the benefit of our listeners and forgetting about where we want to go, then I'll be honest with you. But if someone's listening and wants to message us and say, if you want a job here, then you've got to be neutral, George Russell is just as good as every other driver on the grid.
He is, Ben. Is he not? Is he not, Ben?
Will, are you forgetting about a certain Canadian?
I don't want to talk about it. Move on.
Right.
Bahrain with working hands.
Yes, that is true. He will be coming in fully fit this year, so Lance Stroll podium could be on the cards. Right, my biggest bad surprise.
More going in Bahrain.
I am going to contrast Will's thoughts of Gasly getting a win. I am going to say that Alpine will finish in the bottom 2 of the constructors this year. Now, I don't know if you two have seen on Twitter recently in the past few days, there's been a lot going around saying that the Alpine car does not excel in any area whatsoever. It is a tractor, apparently, and a lot of the chief kind of engineers and a lot of big people in Alpine are rumoured to be leaving. Now, of course, all of these are just rumours. We don't know if they're true or not. We don't know how well the Alpine will perform. However, everything that's going around social media does indicate that this Alpine is very far off the pace.
Did you see that on that Formula pit stop, though? Because they were copying and pasting tweets that one organisation had put, and they were changing it, but for every team. Because Ocon's actually come out and he was really happy with testing. He said, smooth sailing, no issues whatsoever. So
it is just testing.
No, I know exactly. That was my worst surprise. Was Alpine are going to struggle this year? And then I thought, well, actually no, because it contradicts what's being said and But yeah,
I'm sticking to my guns. I think Alpine will struggle this year.
What would be good about that is if they do struggles, and there'll be friction between Ocon and Gasly, which would be great.
Yes, I mean we saw it in Drive to Survive. There's the whole episode of literally them just bickering about each other.
By the way, there's more to it than just the fact that it was a race. There's more to it. I reckon it's got something to do with.
They never liked each other. They've never liked each other.
No.
But it's got. What I'm saying is, it's got more to do. They made it out as though there was this one race where Gasly got the squad, but it's got nothing to do with that. I don't think there's more to it. You don't hate each other for 15, 20 odd years because of one go-karting race. No chance.
So, the final point today. I know this is going to be very early, but I feel like it'd be better to get it in now than halfway through the season when you can already start to see a shift.
Yeah. I agree. So
the predictions for the 2025 season, as in race seats and who's going to be where.
Okay, so I know it would probably be easy just to say who's coming in, who's going, but I've broken it down constructor's order. So let's still do it in order rather than just say them all. Let's just do Red Bull first. So mine is Verstappen and Ricciardo.
Will?
Well, in terms of Red Bull,
Yeah, Red Bull 2025.
Max Verstappen, Lando Norris.
Ooh.
Wow.
I've gone for Max Verstappen and Yuki Tsunoda.
Who am I working with?
What?
I feel like he's, especially last year, he took that kind of lead role at AlphaTauri very well.
Not a chance. What?
I feel like it could happen.
Oh, cheesy peeps, man.
Right, fine. Okay. Mercedes, I've gone for George Russell and Esteban Ocon.
Ooh.
However, it will be Norris if McLaren flop this year.
Interesting.
I've gone with George Russell and Alex Albon.
Ooh, again, we're going different. I have gone George Russell and Kimi Andrea Antonelli. Or
Do you want to know?
Andrea Kimi Antonelli. I can't remember which way around it is.
Still,
I think, right, hear me out here. Mercedes will have nothing to lose, right? They can afford to put a young driver into that seat, especially with the credentials that he's got. They can afford to put him into that seat and just let him kind of do his thing. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're going to put him in the seat.
F2.
Will, do you want to know why I didn't go with Albon?
Go on.
Because they've just tied him down to a new contract.
Yeah, but he'll be persuaded.
But there could potentially be clauses in there that he can't go anywhere next year.
Maybe.
So I didn't know.
It's a good point. Good point. Let him cook. Let him cook.
He is one of the 6 that are contracted for a seat next year.
Yeah, that is true. It just depends whether how well he does them.
Yeah, obviously Ferrari, Hamilton, Leclerc, McLaren, Norris, and Piastri. But then, if I guess for you, you're saying that Norris goes, who's your McLaren lineup?
My McLaren lineup.
Oh God, here we go.
Is Oscar Piastri and Pierre Gasly.
What in the F1 driver career mode is this?
I can't. I'm not taken back by it. I can almost see it.
My Alpine one is worse.
Oh
what about
God.
Perez to McLaren?
No, Perez does not get a seat unless it's with one of the bottom 3.
See, can we quickly go back to Ferrari?
Yeah.
What I've said is that Sainz is going to have a year on the sidelines. No matter how well he does this year, he's going to be bought in for Audi in 2026, and he's going to have a year on the sidelines this year.
Okay.
Ben, carry on. Where are you putting
Aston Martin, and I'm actually so sorry, but Alonso and Stroll. Stroll does not go anywhere until his dad sells up.
And you know what the annoying thing is?
It's not going to happen.
I agree.
Alonso, unless he gets the Mercedes seat, which
he won't.
He has to stay there. There isn't really anywhere else he can go, so that stays the same. What about you? What is your Aston Martin lineup?
My lineup is the same because I agree with you. It's frustrating to say it, but I do agree with you. That's the annoying thing.
I think it's going to stay the same as well. Personally.
Alpine, Pierre Gasly for me, and Felipe Drugovich.
Ooh, I like it.
It's for you, Ollie King.
I like it. The 2022 Formula 2 winner. I like it. Go on, Will. Say it.
Esteban Ocon. Carlos Sainz.
What?
Back to Renault.
Really?
just to keep him in the sport for a year, and then goes to Audi.
Okay.
It's not the worst shout.
No,
It's not the worst shout.
That's fair.
What about you, Ollie?
I think it's going to stay the same. I think it's going to be. Actually, no. You know what?
You're boring if you think that.
I'm going to change it. I'm going to go Pierre Gasly and my supposed lookalike, Jack Doohan.
Well, that would be huge for the podcast.
Oh,
He is an Alpine Junior driver, so
It's true, he is.
or
You'd have to have a good year at F2 for that to happen.
or if it goes the other way, then it could be Victor Martins in the seat for 2025.
I'd be down for a bit of Victor Martins in the seat.
Should be very good.
My Williams lineup is Alex Albon and Kimi Antonelli.
Ooh.
Mine is Kimi Antonelli and Victor Martins. I think they just completely go youth.
Yeah, as you said, Albon. Yeah, all right. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. I think Albon will stay, and I know it's boring, but I think Logan will stay as well.
Oh,
No.
Ollie, get some personality.
Ollie,
Come on.
Ollie, the only reason they didn't get rid of him last year is because James Vowles is a nice guy.
Facts. If James Vowles wasn't James Vowles, he'd have been sacked after 5 races.
Yeah.
I think the limelight this year will be off him, and he'll have a chance to perform. Because as I said at the end of last
No
season,
limelight on him last year.
no, but there was a lot of focus
how
on him.
bad he was.
There was a lot of focus. No, that's the thing. There was a lot of focus on him for how bad he was. The cameras were always on him for his poor performances. When the cameras are off him, he can perform.
The reason the camera was on him was because he was in a barrier.
Oh, here we look at Logan Sargent. He's a 2.5 off 19th place.
Yeah. No, that's a bit disrespectful, Will, actually. Take that back.
Sorry, a 2.25.
RB, Tsunoda and Lawson.
I've gone with Lawson as well. I think Lawson's going to be there, and I think Danny Rick's going to be there.
I've gone Tsunoda.
You obviously haven't watched Drive to Survive, mate. A certain someone at Red Bull is gagging for Ricciardo to be in that second seat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But no, I think it will stay, and I think Lawson will come in.
I think Liam Lawson has to get a seat somewhere.
Surely. Lawson has to. I mean, the way he performed last year in that AlphaTauri was phenomenal.
I know,
what he done in that short period of time was ridiculous.
Also, as well, I want to make a point here. I know the reason he didn't get the AlphaTauri seat was because it's Danny Rick, and we spoke last, didn't we, about the only reason he's getting the seat, it's a PR move and all that. But I also think if Nick De Vries never happens, if he never had a wow one-off for Williams and then got an AlphaTauri seat, then he also probably could have got AlphaTauri. But people probably looked at Nick De Vries and went, I know he obviously did more than one race, Lawson, but they probably looked at him and goes, well, doesn't just because he did a couple of good races doesn't mean he'll be good for an entire season. So,
that's true.
Yeah.
Is the final team we've got to do Haas?
Sauber. My Sauber lineup is Carlos Sainz, and I think he'll have to stick out a year to get the Audi when Audi take them over. I know, he would have. I know. I do see Ollie's point of taking a year out, but I just think because of his age, he'll want to stick it out. So even if he has to take a back marker to then get an Audi seat, that and his teammate would be Théo Pourchaire.
Ooh, I like it.
Valtteri Bottas, Théo Pourchaire.
I second that. I think they'll keep Bottas in just for the whole thing of there's a new car coming in 2026, new engine regulations. They'll keep him in for that so that he can give all his input, but they'll also give Pourchaire the seat for just because of how good he is.
I've actually been looking forward to this announcement since we pressed play. I just want to see your thoughts to it. So even though Haas made a mistake with going with 2 rookies a couple of years ago and it set them back, that's why they brought 2 journeymen in to try and regain some form of experience in the team. I have gone with 2 rookies again for Haas. And I've gone with Ollie Beerman.
Nice.
And Robert Schwartzman.
Oh. That's an interesting one. That is a very interesting one.
Why Schwartzman?
Because he's part of the Ferrari driver program, and obviously has some Ferrari links.
Mm-hmm.
He has done the rookie testing that they do, and it kind of just makes sense. If he was to ever get a seat, it would be for Haas. So,
I mean, I could see it.
so to clarify that in a nutshell, 6 drivers would lose their seat: Perez, Sargent, Zhou, Magnussen, Hulkenberg, and I think they would all lose their seat. And Bottas wouldn't lose his seat; he would retire.
Ollie,
I can already see the graphic now, the F1 graphic. I can already see it. Bottas to retire end of 2024, then that opens a seat rather than Alf Stake announcing that he's leaving and they're bringing someone else. All the others will be so-and-so's leaving or so-and-so's being replaced. But Bottas will be that he's retired.
Ollie, give me your Haas one first.
Magnussen and Bierman. I think Bierman will get a seat regardless. I reckon Hulkenberg will be out the door. I think Magnussen will retain it just because I think they'll just use his pole in Brazil.
Yeah, Magnussen's always easy.
So I think they'll want to do a mixture because they've obviously gone for fully youth, not worked. They've gone for fully old, didn't work. I think they'll do a mixture. One youth driver, one senior driver.
Do you want me to end this on a bang?
Go on.
Felipe Drogovic, Logan Sargent. Cap it there.
Right.
Whoa.
Privilege to do this episode. Goodbye.
Keep the American roots very much alive and get Drogovic in that seat. And end of. Simple as.
Interesting.
Simple as.
Sorry, I didn't mishear you there. You're not saying Drogovic is American, are you?
No. Logan Sargent is American.
Yeah, I know.
Drogovic is Brazilian.
You said keep the American roots alive.
Yeah, I went with
Logan. Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
with Logan.
Right.
Come on,
you're stupid.
Well, I don't really know what to say to that. I didn't think of them two coming together, but
well, how am I supposed to sleep now, knowing that that's the last thing I heard from you today?
Just say you have to do when Ferrari top the pole next weekend.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, I think is a good place to end it. Boys, it's brilliant to be back.
I agree. I'm so excited.
Episode 1's over. We'll be back next Monday. We'll be recording at 5 o'clock. I'm not sure when it'll come out yet. Depends how long the editing takes this afternoon.
Depends how interesting the Grand Prix is. Hopefully very.
Yes, we do keep our fingers crossed for that. But it has been a pleasure speaking to you again.
It has, boys. And I'm like I said, even if we have a really bad season in terms of obviously in the sport, I'm just so excited to see like where this can hopefully take us. We've taken it a step up this year. Like we said, we've invested a lot of money. Whatever makes the cut, I'm excited to see the way Ollie edits it.
Try again, Ben.
Yeah, thank you. I'm happy, excited to see how we get clips from it, where it takes us. So obviously, and we're one big team, so we're all going to support one another. But I'm really looking forward to it. And I am now going to do a TikTok of my F1 driver career.
And Ben, what is the TikTok?
Trackside Pod F1.
Which is the same as pretty much all of our other socials as well. And YouTube as well, TikTok.
Absolutely.
Trackside Podcast on on YouTube. I'm getting them all muddled up. We've got so many now.
Put your teeth in.
Or
F1, Insta, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter.
As you can see, we really want to try and push it this year, and we want you guys to enjoy it. We want you guys to get involved.
I just want my pretty face out there.
Tell us how bizarre and ridiculous we are. That's what we want to hear. We want you to disagree with us so we can discuss it.
Engage with us as much as possible.
Exactly.
At
the end of the day, right, there's two sides to us. We're massive F1 fans, but we're also journalists, students. So we're going to learn our process. We're going to learn our trade on the job. It's so we can perform and be better for a future career that we're going into. But first and foremost, we're
not
fans.
that smart.
Well,
yeah, that is true.
I don't know about you. But listen, we're going to enjoy it. We're really looking forward to it. Ollie, I'm so pleased that you got obviously the chance as well to host today. I'm glad. It was a nice almost kind of
weight off your chest.
Great off my chest, yeah, from doing it last year. I really enjoyed it. Really weight off, yeah, exactly. And Will, I mean, it's just how lucky are we that we get to look at you every week?
What can I say?
So, there we are. So there we go. There we go. So,
Well, I
thank you.
think that is a great place to end it, boys. So, again, thank you very so much. Thank you to the listeners and any viewers or people that are engaging with us and our content.
It's
And
Raw Creek.
it's Rourke Week indeed, and we will see you in a week's time for episode 2, where we'll be covering the Bahrain Grand Prix. Thanks for listening, and catch you next week.